Hey, creative friends. Hey, this is Rebecca, and I just wanted to do a follow-up from my video from yesterday where I did a run through a complete project start to finish to make a rubber stamp out of an eraser with the NAJ laser. And so I just wanted to show you today I've got 4 different materials that I've tested on trying to make rubber stamps. And honestly, all 4 of them, they're not the best. But it did work, and so I'll show you some of these results. But 4 different items that I tested. The first were these Dollar Tree erasers, and honestly I think they worked one of the better materials. And so make sure it's these really flexible erasers with the white material. So the back of these was white. The second thing that I tried, I've actually had for quite a while. I've been wanting to try just for normal rubber stamps, but this came from the hardware store in the plumber section. It's just called gasket rubber. It's very thin and flexible, and it's an economical way to get rubber. I think these 2 sheets were about $5. So that's actually cheaper than typical carving material. This pink stuff, at least here in the States, we can get this Speedy Carve really easily. Many stores carry it, and the Speedball brand. I love to hand carve stamps, and so you can get one of these gadgets that works real well to just hand carve stamps. And I've done many before, and it's very easy to get lines in the stamp. But if you want to leave behind like the outline, that's very difficult to get details in there. So that's why I was hoping the laser would do the details, and it does. You kind of lose some of the charm of a hand-drawn stamp, but I guess you could always hand draw your art digitally and then let the laser cut it. But these are handy. I may put a link below if you're interested at all, but these Speedball kits come with different blades, different size and shapes that help you cut through the rubber. All right, so I've tried erasers, I've tried plumbing gasket rubber, I've tried the traditional Speedy Carve, and then the 4th one that I tried was also a traditional stamp making material, and it's linoleum. They just call it lino. And so this is Lino Carve. This is a sheet I've had for quite a while from Hobby Lobby. And it's actually cheaper than the Speedy Carve is. So 4 different materials. They each worked to varying degrees. None of them were super, but as far as the laser goes, I still don't really have perfect settings for you. It's just trial and error. This first little eraser was tiny. That's the one that's in my video yesterday. I only did 1 pass at 10% laser, 10 milliseconds. And I think over time, the more I've played with this, I've kind of rubbed it flush. The image was just not, wasn't raised enough. So you definitely want multiple passes with your laser for these to work successfully. This was also another eraser. I bumped it up to 70% laser, which was way too much. It kind of made it hard and crumbly, and the image on that was not very good at all. These are some of the images from my yesterday video, and so this was my 2nd stamp, and the image just didn't come out very well at all. The lines were way too small in the drawing itself, and 70% laser was too much, so none of those prints did very well at all. And so then I did 1 more eraser, and I actually just used Microsoft Paint, and in the Paint program I made sure the lines were thicker, and I did 2 passes on the laser for this one, and it turned out very nice. My initial prints were here, and so all of these did very well with any of the ink pads. And then even today, it's still doing pretty well today with a different ink ink pads. All right, and so I think I've had great success with these erasers if we can get the right settings dialed in and do multiple passes with the laser. All right, then came this gasket rubber. I did this at 10% and 10 milliseconds. I did do 2 passes on the laser to try to get that engraving deeper. And it actually did pretty well. You would definitely have to mount this. It's very thin, very flexible. The initial prints. The initial prints for that one, though, are here. So my image from Paint, you can actually make out all the pixels. So it's not the greatest stamp, but for a cheaper material, it did okay. And then I tested it again today, and that's this. So that image looks pretty good. All right, and then came the Speedy Ball. Speedy Ball I did at 10% power for 10 milliseconds, and it didn't do anything. So I bumped up the laser to 20, and that was maybe too much because it kind of charred this rubber. And so this black part actually never washed off. It came off of the laser black, and it stayed black. And of course I've used black ink, but it I don't know, it just didn't seem to do very well. And you can tell it didn't get a clean line for the laser cut. So I don't know, this traditional pink Speedy Carve just does not seem to go to the laser very well. So the prints were okay. As you can see, the prints are okay, but not great. Here's some of the ones from today. Again, it just didn't get a clean burn. Now, of course, I could cut away the border and just have the B, and that would look decent. All right, and then the fourth material that I tried again was this lino cut material, and this also was at 10%, 10 milliseconds, 2 passes. I think if you did 3 or 4 passes, it would actually work pretty well. It did leave behind kind of an oily burnt area, and so you definitely have to wash these 2 off. But again, that burnt area doesn't wash off perfectly. It stays charred. But it did have some clean prints. These were some of the initial prints for that one, and so they came out very nice and crisp on some of those prints. Probably more so than what the rubber did. So and then just a few more prints from today. That was down here at the bottom is the lino, the Speedy Carve, the erasers. So, but all in all, I think the lino and the erasers actually came out the best. So, but I'd be curious if you're want to test any of these at all. I'd be curious to see what settings you use and the results you get. But then also be very careful. I'm not 100% sure these are safe to laser. Apparently they do make a laser safe rubber stamp material, and maybe someday I'll get a chance to try that. But these are the 4 items I had on hand. So the lino and the Speedy Carve and the rubber, gasket rubber, and these erasers. So they all 4 did okay. But a fun experiment anyway. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.